Hi there. Welcome back or welcome to Recovering Out Loud podcast, the show where we get real about addiction and mental health recovery. I'm so glad you're here. If you or someone you love is struggling with drugs or alcohol, please reach out to me on any social media platform at Recovering Out Loud Pod or by email at recoveringoutloudpod@gmail.com. Enjoy the show. Thanks, Heather. Thanks so much for coming down.
No problem.
I got introduced to you from your cousin, Julie, who is
Yeah.
like my day one OG listener. I love her to death. Thank you so much. But yeah, she's great. She sent me a message the other day that just like nearly made me cry. I was talking about getting fired at work, and
saw that.
yeah, she sent me a message. She goes, don't worry about it. It happened for a reason, and this is what you should do. Put your phone down for the weekend, take your wife out and do something nice and just forget about it. And I was like, God damn, like, oh, that was I needed to hear that, It's just nice to have people in your corner. And I was thinking about this today, but this is something I'm working on today. I can have a million people tell me, good job, you're doing great, you're helping people, good on you. And then it's still never enough.
It's not,
for me,
no.
right? And it's like, I started this podcast to stay sober myself, which is, today, check, I'm staying sober, goal accomplished, which is great. And I have to remind myself that that's a big deal because I couldn't get 6 minutes together at one point in my life. But also to at least, try and help at least one person, right? I always I say a prayer before I do every episode. I'm like, help me help one person, you know? And if I've done that, I've done my job, but I have to be reminded of that. I have to work on that because I don't know if you're anything like me, but it's never enough.
No,
I always want more. Right. And it was the same with drugs. It's the same with, comments, likes, love from other people, gambling, whatever the case may be. Right. So why don't we do this? Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, Heather? Tell us how you got into recovery and how you came to be who you are today.
So my name's Heather and I'm an addict. Well, I was homeless. For about 2 years. Just using, stealing, doing whatever I could to use. And I remember laying in that park, and for 2 weeks I prayed every morning, crying, just, God, please send me somebody to help me. I don't want this life anymore. And my cousin ended up showing up looking for me. And I remember sitting there, and he was telling me his story. To be honest, I wasn't listening. I wasn't really hearing much. Yeah. I just wanted to use, right? Yeah. But then I remember him saying to me, he's like, so how's life, Heather? I'm like, oh, life's great. He's like, Heather, you're homeless. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have to answer to anyone. I can come and go as I please and do what I want. He goes, I got an idea. How about we get a mirror and you can tell me how great life is? And that's when my heart sunk. And I'm like, all right, let's go get some help. So I went to treatment for 6 months. And then went home. I didn't want to go home. I was like, can I stay longer? They're like, no, it's time for you to go. And 6 days later, I relapsed. I didn't want to come back to Toronto because all the people I knew in Toronto were just like us, right? I grew up with them. I grew up here my whole life. So I know a lot of people from the West End all the way downtown, right? So it was hard. And then, so I went hard for 24 hours. And then I got sober for 2 months being down here. And then on my 2-month day, I went and celebrated at the bar. And I went back out for a month. And now today I have just 14 months sober.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. It's a struggle though, right? Like, I remember hearing people say like after your first year, that's when the work begins. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But it's true. Like the last 2 months I've been struggling, and it's because emotions. What are emotions? I don't know what emotions are. I don't know how to deal with these feelings and what have you. So it's definitely been a struggle the last 2 months. Do I want to use? When I'm super tired, yeah, those thoughts come in my head. But other than that, no. But I mean, again, when that Holt thing is real, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Yeah. And when I'm tired, that's the hardest part for me. Like, it's just a constant, I'll be laying there and what if I use? But I play that tape forward and I'm like, no, I don't want to. So that's when I call people and get the help I need.
What's the fantasy for you? I know everyone's a little bit different, but like for me, it's like, I don't even crave the drugs anymore. It's more so when I have these cravings or thoughts that come into my head, and they come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason usually behind it, which I dig deeper in now, but I didn't know before. For me, it's like, I just miss that freedom that you talked about. I don't have to answer to anyone, right? When you said that, I was like, oh, I get that.
I think it's just getting out of my own head. My thoughts are crazy. And see, last week I was sitting there and my head just started spinning, and it was so messed up. Like, my cousin works at a recovery center and he wasn't answering right then, right there.
Mm.
And then two of my friends weren't answering right then, right there. So it was like I was back out there. All of a sudden, I thought, my cousin thinks I've relapsed. He's called my two friends and told them not to answer my messages because he's going to come home and drug test me.
Yeah.
And I just started freaking out. And the one thing I've learned is writing stuff down for me. I can't think because it just snowballs and gets worse and worse and worse. So what I did is I grabbed my journal, started writing everything down, and eventually everything started to make sense again. Right. But it brought me right back. Like, I started getting paranoid, looking out my window, like, and once that started, I'm like, no, I don't want to feel this way anymore. So I picked up that pen, started writing. And for me, that's how I talk to my higher power. I
That's what I
can't
was
do
gonna
it
say.
in my head.
Yeah.
I can't, because there's no meaning behind it. It's just, they're just words in my head. Right. So writing is a big thing for me.
Yeah. And that is, it's funny, as you were talking, I was thinking about that. It's like, this kind of, I can't call anyone because, like, let's be realistic. People aren't always going to answer when
No.
you need them in that moment, right? And you did everything that, you know, presumably counselors, rehab taught you
Yeah.
is to reach out. When people don't answer, now what? I'm
Now-
just stuck
yeah.
with this like thought in my head that I'm thinking about tomorrow. I'm spinning these stories in my head, which I can relate to. I'm projecting my movie onto the world. You know, this person did this person
Yeah.
that. It's already like and then I'm in a dumpster fire. I love that though. It's like I write it down. I tell somebody. I pray about it.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And what after I was done writing, I called my sponsor, right? And she's like, I'm very proud of you. And I'm like, well, I need you just as much as you need me, right? So,
Yeah.
and I that's what I've just realized, like, getting on my knees and praying isn't for everybody. It's not for me, right? For other people, sure, but for me, it's journaling. Like, even last night before I went to bed, I didn't want to. I'm like, oh, I'm in a good place, I'm good. But I'm like, no. So instead, I just wrote and I thanked God for the day and everything that happened in that day and all the good that came that day.
Yeah.
So
Because for me at least, and I think it's like once I start getting out of the routine of things, it's very easy. It's like not going to the gym. Like all of a sudden a week's gone by and I'm like, I don't really need the gym anymore. My health's not important, right? And that's something I've been struggling with lately is like getting my ass out of my head, out of my head too. But
yeah,
I have this social media problem where I just scroll and like, sure, they're all motivational, sober videos and great, but it's like, I feel like shit after.
yeah, I have a problem with that for sure.
With scrolling?
Yeah.
What? So sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I find in recovery now, though, like, for me, I became a thief, right? And stealing was a big thing. And I find that's still one of my biggest things that go through my head. Like, I haven't, but I'll be in a store and I'll be like, it's just be so much easier just to walk and to get that rush, right? Like, I did it. Yeah, I got away with it.
Yeah.
Right? But I haven't, because I know eventually what that leads to. It's going to be guilt and I'm going to pick up again, right? So, but I find that's probably the hardest in my recovery thus far is the stealing. And it's not from people, it's from corporations. That's how I justify it, right?
Yeah.
But either way, it's no good.
Yeah. Yeah. Because to your point, you have to go to bed at night. And am I happy with how I acted today? No.
Nope.
Am I going to tell somebody about it? Maybe. But if I don't, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm a bad person. I'm using, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's important for people to note that we don't, it says in the literature, it's like, we are not saints. Right.
No.
And I remember when I heard that for the first time, it was like, oh, thank God. Like I don't have to be perfect in recovery, because I'm not, and I don't ever want to be. And it's not, progress, not perfection. Right. But to your point, it's like we quit drugs and we start looking for other things to kind of that
Yeah.
rush, or we fall back on old behaviors. For me, it's lying. Like lying I'll lie about the stupidest shit today, and it doesn't even make sense to me sometimes. I'm just like, why did I do that? So I had a therapist that would always tell me, like, when you tell those little white lies of, I don't know, even just like, I'm fine when I'm not fine. It's
Right.
like you go back and you say, hey, like, I lied about that, right? And something happens when you kind of admit, even if it's, no matter how stupid or inconsequential, it builds up. And over time,
yeah.
now I'm lying about my cravings or whatever, right?
Yeah. You tell one small lie and you got to back up that lie with another lie.
It's
with
exhausting.
Another lie.
Yeah, it's so exhausting.
You have to remember that first lie,
Yes,
right?
yeah. I used to have I had a recruiter one time. I don't know why I'm remembering this now, but I was looking for a job when I got fired from one of my many jobs I've gotten fired for because of my drug use.
Yep.
I just couldn't show up. He would always like, should I tell them that I have been in between jobs and, I went to treatment and this and that, and like, that doesn't look good. And he's like, he wasn't in the program at all, but he's like, dude, honestly, I've done this for a long time. It's so much easier just to tell the truth. You don't have to go into detail about it, but you tell the truth. And then it's exactly what he said. He's like, you don't have to remember the movie plot that you told this guy. And then you're like, wait, did I tell this guy that or this girl that or whatever? It's exhausting,
I was open at my work. I was nervous at first, but I ran into somebody at a meeting.
From your work?
From my work.
Oh, no.
And I was walking out and I paused. And I'm like, well, this is awkward. And I asked her, like, do you think it's okay for me to work about it? And I did. And I was honest about it. And, a bunch of the women showed up at my 1 year.
No.
I started bawling.
Oh,
like,
that's
oh my God.
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty beautiful. Like, just the support I have even at work is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I know anonymity is important for a lot of people. And when I worked in corporate my whole life, just recently pivoted over to mental health, and I'm in school for social service work now to become a counselor, hopefully, because I don't know. I had a moment in rehab this last time where I was hearing one of the counselors talk about his purpose. And I feel like I've never had purpose, right? Other than like helping other addicts and alcoholics, which is great. That's a huge purpose today still to me, right? I was meeting with a sponsee on Monday, and he called me after, and I thought it went okay, right? We think like, whatever. It's like, I'm just doing the next right thing. I'm not going to change anyone's life. He called me after and he's like, man, I just wanted to he's like, I'm buzzing. Like, thank you. Like, really? I told my wife, like, I'm really happy to have met you. And here I am thinking like, whatever, it was just a coffee. But I'm, something must have been said, my actions, whatever. It's like, it's a beautiful thing that we get to be able to not change people's lives directly, but we get to plant a seed and like do the next right thing, and attraction, not promotion. I'm not promoting sobriety to anybody. Like I always say that it's like, if you think you can control and have fun with it and you're still okay, more power to you, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it brings you to a point of some kind of bottom to where you want to make a change or not. Maybe you're one of those normal people that I don't understand and never will. You can use cocaine on the weekends and then go to work. I don't get it.
Good for you.
Yeah, honestly, more power to you. Wasn't me. I've tried many times,
It's pretty cool though, like how, you're not supposed, you don't promote it, right? And in recovery, I was, hoping to direct it to a certain person in my life. And then about a month ago, out of nowhere, someone else called me asking for help. And it was like from left field. I had no idea, but it's a pretty beautiful thing. Yeah. Like, you don't know whose lives you are touching. Yeah. You have no idea.
I'm getting goosebumps as you think, because that's happened to me too, where it's like, and it's usually when you need it the most too, right? God works in mysterious ways, higher power, whatever you want to call it. When I'm, just recently, like, in my head, same like you, these new people started showing up in my life out of nowhere. And it's like, okay, God's not going to do everything for me, but he can put people in my path where it's like, this is up to you now, buddy. Like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to ignore all these winks, these God nudges, or are you going to do something about it? Because I need to help people or I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Right. What does service look like to you today? Just on a daily basis?
Just doing the next right thing, right? Like, especially at work, like, I can get hot-headed very quickly, but they're my own expectations, right? And I realized that this week, like, I strive for perfection, and what's perfection? I'll never be perfect. And this week I was talking to my sponsor as well, and she was telling me, an expectation is the beginning of a resentment. Yeah. And when she said that, it was just like a bunch of stuff came flashing through my head, and I was like, wow, like, not only am I setting an expectation for myself at work, I'm setting them for other people around me, which is creating resentment. Like, who the heck am I to say you're capable of this, this, and that? Maybe they're not, right? So this week especially, I've been trying to be a little more understanding at work and just like service there. And I remember, I got a lot of recovery in Newmarket, and I remember coming back to Toronto, and a lot of women were approaching me at meetings and stuff, right? And I had relapsed, and I went with a friend to one, and he's like, "You're going to meet so many women." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Every woman in that meeting approached me, talked to me for 5 minutes, and gave me their number. Every single one. From that day forward, I promised myself any newcomer, I would talk to them and make them feel welcome.
Yeah. Even just simply like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been to meetings where that's happened and it hasn't happened, especially when I've traveled. When I travel, I used to do it a lot more in my first bout of recovery. I've been to meetings in Barcelona. I've been to meetings in the States all over. And I find that when I travel, people tend to come up to me, but it's like, you just feel so good. Like, no matter where you're at in your recovery, when someone comes up to you, and to your point, I remember, 2015 going to my first meeting in Toronto because I got sober in Minnesota in rehab, and the meetings there are way different than here.
Really,
They're not bad or good. They're just different.
Yeah.
They have a lot of God talk, which is, I've come to realize today is, I like it. It's not for everybody, right? Yeah. Some people get turned off by that word, which is fine, but it's my own conception,
exactly.
It's very simple, but, coming here, and I'll never forget Dan, right? Dan F came up to me, and this old guy, and just shook my hand in one of the meetings in Toronto and said, "Hey son, like, welcome, have a coffee, sit down." Right. And I was like, oh God, like, no one was ever doing that to me before. Right. Maybe at the bar, but it's not the same. Right.
I wanted that too. Right. Yeah. I think for my service too, I think honesty is important when you're talking, like, because the more honest you are and the more you talk about your story, somebody could relate. And I had that happen as well, right? Like, they came up to me and they couldn't stop crying. They were crying for about half an hour, but just thanking me because they were able to relate so much, and they're sober today now too, right? Like, just, I think honesty is a big part of service too, especially, because you want people to hear that you've been through the same struggle as them, right? And they're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing too, because when I came in, I still, I talk to a lot of new people today, and I'm grateful for that because of the job that I have, and I love it, man. I never thought I would like it this much. Honestly, I love it because they don't call in like complaining about their life, right? It comes here and there, and they're different, and my problems are worse than everyone else's, right? That's totally normal. I was like that too. And then you come into recovery and you hear somebody else like, well, actually, I've been through this, this, and this. And you're like, what? Like, that's actually worse than what I've been through, right? And I always say to people is like, whatever you've been through, someone has been through worse and gotten through it. You know? The longer you stay around, you start to notice that.
Those feelings are still the same though, right? Like,
yes.
I think they are anyway.
Yes.
Like, I hear people talking, but I tell them, I'm like, I'm happy you didn't get to the point of homelessness. I'm happy you're seeing yourself now and getting the help today. For me, homelessness is what I needed to reach, right? So, but I never thought I'd say I'd be grateful for it, but I am, right? Because today I'm someone different, and I I'm so grateful for little things now that I never would have been grateful for before. Just waking up, a roof over my head, a job that I'm holding down for the first time in a long time. Yeah. Right. So
where people are happy to see me at work and they come support me too. Like, what a gift, that's kind of foreign to us. No one was supporting me before besides my family. Right.
That's it. My family. That's the biggest part I'm happy to have back.
You mentioned, trying to sort of, I don't want to use the word force, but try to get somebody sober in your life.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what that's like trying to get someone sober, and then this sort of moment? Because I think a lot of people watching can relate to that. It's like, well, just stop using.
It backfired on me. Like, I realized why I shouldn't do it. So I was asked to do a reading at a Medallion, and it was right downtown Toronto, and I was like, I was like, you're going to come support me, right? And that was my manipulative way
Oh,
to
right,
get
right,
him there, right?
Smart.
I could tell he was uncomfortable through the whole ride. He's not a quiet person, and he was very quiet. And you know what? I got him out front the doors, but that was it. He ended up going to the bar right from there. And, you know, it scared me just because you don't know what's in the drugs these days. And if something would have happened to him that night, I would have felt responsible for that, right? So that was a heavy lesson learned right there. From that point on, I was like, I'll never push it on anybody. They have to want it, right? So even when I first got sober, I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for everyone else,
same.
for my family. And it wasn't working. It didn't work, obviously. But now I'm doing it for Heather. And so far, so good.
Well, all we got is today, right?
Yeah.
As long as I'm sober today, I always tell people, was like, I remember coming into recovery, and one of my biggest things, I was 23, right? The first time I came in, and I couldn't wrap my head around like getting married and not having a drink on my wedding day. Right. That was like my biggest thing. And I've come to learn that a lot of people have that thought, right? That specific thought. And if I hadn't talked about it, I wouldn't have gotten that out of them, right? I can honestly say, sitting here today, that I got married and didn't have a drink,
Good
right?
for you.
Yeah, it was amazing. But during that time, I had been in the middle of a relapse, right? So it's like, you know, the honeymoon after, and it was a huge thing, disaster. That's why I always applaud people that are dealing with a loved one in their life, because I know how hard it is. My wife reminds me a lot, but it's good. I need those reminders, because like I was thinking, and you hear this all the time, it's like, I'm only hurting me, right? I'm only hurting me. Nobody else is hurting. I'm like, just leave me alone. Meanwhile, my wife, I find out later, and I've said this before on the podcast, is calling the morgue, calling police stations, calling, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't get sober again, right? Because she told me all that stuff, right? So
it's true. I didn't think I was hurting anybody else, right? Like, I remember my brother walking past me on the street. He wouldn't acknowledge me. He wouldn't look my way. And I would laugh and be like, why is he so upset? I'm not hurting him. I'm only hurting myself. And even I got to the point of trying to kill myself. I turned to fentanyl, right? And I overdosed 10 to 15 times. I remember someone called my family. I was so mad at him. And I was so mad at the hospital. I was like, pulled out everything. I'm like, I'm going to sue you guys. Who called my parents? Meanwhile, they're the people you're supposed to call on my chart, right? My emergency contact. Yeah. That didn't go so well, but I remember my parents telling me how upset they were that the hospital let me go. And they're like, she's too irate. What can we do?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I freaked out for a second. I thought I wasn't recording, but it's good. It's all good. Yeah. So sorry. Continue. Yeah.
Oh, that was it. I remember going home that day too. Like, I accused my parents of stealing $15 from me. Like, what do they want $15 from me for? Yeah. Like, why would they steal from me? That's what I did to them, right? And then that was a rough week. I went out and I don't even remember that whole week. Don't remember a thing.
But I mean, the paranoia is so real when you're in active addiction. I was talking about this yesterday, but I'm happy I haven't deleted these videos. I have a few videos from my shenanigans and charades, and I used to get a lot of people being like, well, how do you laugh at that? That's crazy. Like, you did this and that. And I'm like, my therapist put it perfectly. She's in recovery as well. She's like, well, Anthony, you know, we have two choices today. We can laugh about those things or we can cry about them. And she's like, I don't know about you, I've done enough crying, right? Like I'm ready to laugh at them now because they happened. It's part of who I am, who I was. And I'm not ashamed of it anymore, right? But I have like so many videos of myself like locked in a hotel bathroom when I was kicked out. My wife kicked me out and I was hotel surfing, kind of homeless, not really. But I mean, I didn't have a home, right? Yeah. So I can relate to even though I was in a place, it's like I hated myself so much, right? I wanted to die every night. And I remember I have these videos of just like waiting for someone to come in the hotel door. And I'm holding a weapon in my hand and I'm just like, ugh, like I could still feel that
Oh
feeling
yeah.
of fear. And it's like, even in your head, my thing was stimulants. So it's like, I always had these paranoia, this psychosis I was in, the feeling of like, I know in my core that nobody is outside.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I'm looking through the peephole and I see people, but I'm like, I know, I hear them. I'm taking video. I'm sending them to my friends. I'm like, do you see anybody? They're like, no, dude. Like, there's no one there. But it's just like, oh, I don't miss that feeling at all.
Everyone was a cop for me.
Yeah.
And my dad was going to jump out of every bush. I don't know why it was my dad all the time, but it was my dad. I'm like, my dad's there. I know he's there. I'd be in an apartment building 20 floors up. My dad's going to come through that balcony. Like, I know he's not there, but in my mind he was.
Yeah, something about it's just such an awful place to live. But I mean, that's not enough, right? To your point, you have to get to a point of the gift of desperation, they call it, where it's like, I've had enough. You don't have to hit a rock bottom. You hear that? You have to hit your own sort of rock bottom. But in my experience, rock bottom is when you stop digging, right? But
yeah,
as long as I'm alive, there's always a worse rock bottom, you know?
Well, I've hit bottoms in sobriety too, right? I didn't realize that I'm powerless over people, places, and things. It's not just drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? I remember when I came back, I became really good friends with someone and we became too close too quickly. And I still run into them. They're still sort of a part of my life. But when I lost them because I became too codependent on them, I was a mess. That was my bottom in sobriety, right? And I did want to use, and I was just kept telling myself, you'll get through this, you'll get through this. That's when I realized I was powerless over people too. And I mean, there was no relationship, a friendship, but that showed me I'm also not ready for a relationship either. Not even close, because I became way too codependent on that person. Yeah,
I can relate to that. We put them on this sort of pedestal, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I need you to love me to feel good about myself, right? Codependence, essentially. Yeah, I can relate to that too. That was early in recovery for you?
That was in the first 6 months when I came back.
There's a reason they tell us not to get in relationships in the first. I used to hate that in the first year. I was like, what? Why?
Yeah.
But I was at a point where I was just like, you know what? Everything people told me, I was just like, I'm doing good. Like, I feel good. I'll listen to whatever you say. You're happy. I want what you have.
Yeah.
I got to do what you did. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
That's what they told me, you know.
It's true.
It's a hard concept. Though.
You don't want to do what people tell you.
No. And that's why I love recovery so much, just because no one, you know, you'll get your sponsor my sponsor always, I used to have a sponsor that would say, you know, son, these are all suggestions. Sort of like suggestions of, you know, I suggest you take a parachute when you jump out of an airplane. Yeah. I love that. It's so true. It's like, you can take it or leave it, but you know, you're going to fall pretty fast. Right. And he's saying it because he's done it. He's done it before. And
my sponsor will tell me things and then I won't listen. I'm listening to her speak, but I'm not hearing it. I'm not, it's not registering. I don't want to hear what she's telling me. Yeah. And then a couple months later, she's like, Heather, what did we talk about a few months ago? I'm like, yeah, you were right.
I'm not saying I told you so, but I told you so. Yeah.
Even she'll be like, so did you pray about it? I'm like, did you pray about it? She's like, I'll pray about it. Call me back.
She was always right the whole time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I do that too. I want to ask you a question because I've never heard this question before, but I was on like a sober community meeting last week. It wasn't 12-step based. It was just like new people in recovery all coming together. And I was speaking at it. I was fortunate enough to be a speaker at it. And I was talking about relapse, and it got to the end. There's 4 speakers, and then they opened it up for a Q&A. Right. And this guy gets on here and he asks this question where it kind of pissed me off at first because I was obviously the answer is this. And then I thought about it. I was like, wow, that was a really good question. So I'll ask you now. It's like, he asked us, if you could go back, all 4 of you, if you could go back 12 years old, 10 years old, whatever, before anything happened in your life, would you choose the path of being an addict and going through what you got through and going into recovery, or would you choose this kind of normal life?
I mean, this is the only life I really know. I think being sober today, I don't think I'd have the gratitude that I do today without going through what I went through. Losing everything I did, and it was all by my own choice. Yeah. There's that's what helped me understand, was keeping things simple. And I remember the first time it was in my head, I was writing in my journal. I think in that day I came up with almost 30 things I was grateful for in that day. I don't know if I was just normal, if I could see all that
Yeah.
gratitude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. It, like, to think back, some of the things I did, sure, it still bothers me from time to time, but I get to be a better Heather today and do better today. Um, I don't know. So I guess maybe, yeah, I'd probably stick to the life I had, because there's so much in today that I'm grateful to be sitting here with you today
Thanks.
and doing this, right? Because like we were talking about, we could help somebody. We don't know who we're helping.
Yeah.
Could be some stranger in another country
Exactly.
somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But if I've helped one person in this world, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. No,
Thank
it's a good.
you.
And I remember when he asked it, I was like, oh, everyone's gonna say that, of course. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I've had days for sure where I'm like, I hate being an addict. I wish I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
This sucks, right? But it's in the grand scheme of things. It's like, yeah, I have a toolkit today that I never would have had before, right? I see
Yeah.
some people, and I hope this doesn't come off as judgment or whatever, but I see some people going through life in their 9 to 5, and they're just kind of just scraping by and
Yeah.
and it's like, I feel like everybody can benefit from recovery. And I've heard that before. Everyone can benefit from some sort of program, 12
Yeah.
steps, whatever, smart recovery, whatever the hell you do to get sober. If you do 10 push-ups in the mud every day and that keeps you sober, as one of my friends used to say, it's like, good for you, right? Like, I'm just a better person when I'm sober. It's like, I'm allergic to alcohol and drugs. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Um,
I've always said that too, though. Like, what we have and the tools we're given, I think it could do a lot of the world some good too,
Yeah.
right?
Addiction's
But
not going
that's
anywhere.
just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Addiction's not going anywhere, right? Like,
No.
it's not getting less. It's increasing every day. And
It's sad.
the stories are getting crazier and crazier, right? As I stay around longer, I'm like, holy shit, how did that person come back from that? Homeless stripper to lawyer. Like, I've heard the craziest transformations, right? And it's like, you look at these people now and you're like, you used to be homeless, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you just can't fathom it. But there's a transformation that happens in here, and it's beautiful to witness.
It is pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
It is.
So we talked about faith and spirituality, and you talked about what you were working on a lot today. What would you say is like the number one thing that helps you when you're really squirrely? I know you mentioned calling people and journaling as a good one. But yeah, what does that look like today when you're struggling?
I just talk to people a lot. Like, I have to talk. I have to get it out. I will call 20 people if I have to. Sports growing up for me was huge, but when I was in treatment, I tore my ACL and my meniscus. So now it's trying to find other things to keep me busy. Right now, I just pile myself into work, which isn't healthy either. It can take a toll on my brain and my body. Trying to find other things I'm interested in. I have no idea what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. Right? I do need to make more of an effort, but I just wish I could play my sports, to be honest with you.
That's a
But
tough one.
yeah. I mean, I'm going to be in a tournament at the end of the month for baseball, which I'm stoked for.
Is it a sobriety recovery
Yeah.
tournament? Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have lots of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been asked to do a few of them. I did one last year too, but it's something fun about a bunch of addicts being together and so many opinions.
Yeah. But even concerts, I love concerts. I love music. And
Me too.
yeah, going to a Leaf game or a Jays game. I love doing that stuff, right? I never thought I'd be able to do it sober either.
Yeah.
I never thought I could. It's even better sober
It
though.
is, yeah, because well, you actually
You know
remember
what's
it.
going on.
Yeah, you remember it, and it's funny you mentioned concerts. I'm going to one tonight, and I was at one 2 weeks ago, Budweiser Stage, which is a great venue.
Oh
If you have
yeah.
seats, if you're in the lawn, it's a little tricky, but you got to deal with a bunch of people having a
I
little too
liked
much
it back
fun.
then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now you're just like, oh, I just want my space, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm listening to this, right?
Yeah.
But I was with somebody that was drinking, and yeah, it just like, and this doesn't happen all the time. I realize that, but it just like I was watching them kind of struggle a bit, and it kind of ruined their night, right? Because they were constantly going to the bathroom, this and that.
Yeah.
My wife now, she like completely doesn't drink anymore, and she's not one of us, right? But she decided for one, she'll go to a concert and she'll start drinking. She'll go to the bathroom to
Yeah.
like just to pee every so often.
And as a woman, those bathrooms are
Yeah.
lined up.
She hates it. She's like, I missed the whole show, right? I'm not even getting drunk. She's like, what's the point of this, right? And so she completely like doesn't drink anymore, and which blows my mind. Just, I'm gonna
You
stop
can
today.
and you don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop today. Right? It
And
still
I'll look up
drives.
for her.
Yeah, it drives me nuts still when she leaves like this much. I'm just like,
Oh.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? I made a video about that. I was like, oh my god, I don't get it, but to each his own. And again, I always say this, but if you don't have a problem with drugs and alcohol and you're still having fun, like, more power to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's like that, but when you go to those social situations, did you find it hard in the beginning to say no? Like, what did you say to people? Why aren't you drinking? Like, everyone has those moments, right?
I've kind of avoided a lot of those situations. I haven't really put myself out there yet. I was invited to a friend's, she just moved into a new place, and she was just having like a welcoming party or whatever you want to call it. And I thought about it, and I decided not to go. Because people from my past were going to be there, and I didn't want to be triggered. In family events, I'm okay there. They all know what I'm doing, so none of them pressure me. Sometimes though, I do have to escape for a bit, and it's not even that I want to drink, it's just a lot going on that it's a bit chaotic, and I'm not used to that anymore. And sometimes I'm like, that was me, like but, and not to put them there, like they're able and capable of of drinking and having fun, and I'm just not. But sometimes and it's not even that I want to drink, it's just I just need a breather for a minute. I need to take a step back and just take a breather.
Yeah.
But I haven't really put myself in that situation yet, especially with my past friends from my past. I still talk to a lot of them, but they hang out with a lot of people that I used to use with. And it's just, I'm not ready for any of that yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay, right? It's like,
Yeah.
that's amazing that you can come. I always, it's like, it doesn't mean you're not, because when people say, well, how am I gonna, like, it doesn't mean you're not ready forever, right?
No.
It's like, just right now I need to take a me moment and whatever. And I found that very helpful too. I still find it helpful. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's not even that I'm going to be triggered to drink. Maybe I will, maybe, I don't know. That's the thing about triggers, is like, they kind of come out of nowhere sometimes. And my first, so I had almost 8 years, went back out for probably about a year, and then 4 months of like just way worse, right?
Yeah.
Way worse. And progressive illness, right? Progressive drug use, alcohol use, people, places, things. I found new bottoms, right? Like you said. And yeah, it's like, I don't even I forgot. Now I lost my train of thought, but it's okay.
It's all right.
That happens sometimes. But yeah, it's like oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Okay. So 3 months in this time, I was in a sober house again. Didn't want to be there. I had 8 years, don't you know? Like, I know how to do this. Anthony, shut the hell up, right? I had to do that again, where it's like, I had to dismantle my ego. I had to deflate my ego, whatever you want to call it. Maybe I don't have all the answers. Again, fine. I had all this recovery, but let's just listen again, because that's what helped you the first time. Is like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I don't know what's good for me right now. It doesn't mean I'm going to know for the rest of my life I'm going to be like that, but lived in a sober house. The first 3 months, I thought about cocaine every single day. Every single day. And I talked about it. I told people about it. And like, there wasn't, and it wasn't like this crazy intense thing, but I would I would feed into it, and then I would play the tape through in the wrong way, where it was like, oh yeah, you could do this, and then my fantasy was like, you could turn off your phone, you could kick off your shoes, you could do this. Today, I can honestly say that I haven't thought about it in a while, and when I do, it like I'm almost at 7 months again, and
Good for you.
thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe it, because like I was saying before, 7 minutes was a foreign concept to me, right? So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing that I'm able to start over again. But when that thought comes up in my mind now, I had a therapist in my last treatment center. She would say, I do this thing where I just like picture a stop sign in my head. And so I do that now. It's
That's
like
a good
when
idea.
those thoughts start to come, just don't even go there, man. It's not like I'm burying it down deep. It's like there's nothing good that comes out of me fantasizing about this.
Yeah.
Because it'll eventually lead to me relapsing, right?
Well, even when I'm tired, it's that, like, I was so exhausted the other day and I was laying in bed and I couldn't get that first, as I used crack, right? I couldn't get that first toke out of my head, that first euphoric toke. And I'm just like, oh, I want it. But that's what I just play the tape forward. And it's because I'm tired. Like, when I take a nap, I wake up, those thoughts are gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Amazing.
only when I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And it's like overexhaustion. But yeah, I do still have those moments. And then there's sometimes where I just want to get out of my head and I think I want to use, but I actually don't. I just want out of my head. Like, I can't explain it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, like, my disease is telling me you want to use. But then when I think about it, I'm like, no, I don't. I just don't want these thoughts in my freaking head anymore.
Just want the noise to kind of
Yeah.
just turn down the volume a little
Yeah.
bit. So what do you do? I mean, you mentioned it, but like calling somebody is a big one, right?
Calling, music. I mean, they say music isn't the best either, but I love music. Actually, aside from my family, I was talking about this the other day. When I was out on the streets, I'd have to say music was the second top thing I missed. Like, aside from my family, right? Like, music's always been big in my life since I was a little kid. I remember 5 years old, my dad bought me a little ghetto blaster. Right? I've loved music. So music, but mostly writing and calling people, right? Or taking a nap if I need one.
Yeah, and sometimes it's that simple,
Yeah.
I want to ask you this. I just thought of this now, but homelessness is big in Toronto, right? I do this thing where if I see a homeless person coming up to me, I just at very least try to make eye contact with them,
Right.
because they're fucking people, right?
Yeah.
They're people. And sometimes they'll ask me for stuff, and sometimes, like, if I can afford it, I'll do it, right? And I try to, what was society's like reaction to you when you were homeless versus, like, did you notice the shift right away? Like, how did people react to you?
I didn't notice it right away. But eventually I did. Like, at a local pub I used to hang out at, people would start ignoring me and not acknowledging me and being very rude to me and stuff. I mean, my family wasn't, homelessness was a choice to me because my parents would never give me the boot. I know now how much they love me, but I couldn't go home because of guilt. And I couldn't look at my parents in the eye for the way I was, right? But yeah, I noticed, not everybody though, because there were days where I would decide today's the day I'm done. Like, and my choice was, I didn't have the balls, if you will, to hang myself or hurt myself physically. But I was like, when I found out about fentanyl, I'm like, I can get high and die at the same time. Let's do this, right? But there were days that I was like, okay, today, but some random in the streets or on the bus would talk to me and ask me how my day was. And just that little thing, it stopped me. It would stop me from doing that day and making that choice, right? So it was more so the people that I knew growing up that were different towards me. I mean, the people that didn't know me, it was weird. They were a lot more forgiving, if you will, or saw me differently.
Saw you,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Interesting. Because I've always wondered that, it's like, not everyone's an asshole, right? There's a
No.
lot of good people out there, although we see behavior or social media or whatever, and it's like immediately you write off humanity and everyone's
Yeah.
selfish. And I was certainly selfish for a long time, but there was moments where I was a good person too, right? And I'm a good person today. And I was a good person back then too. I was just making some choices that didn't align with my values and my morals, drinking and driving one of them.
Yeah. I don't drive. I've never driven, so that's one thing I got skipped out on. Thank God, right? Because, yeah, who knows what would have happened. But I found early in recovery, I was very judgmental on homeless people, believe it or not, and I was disgusted by them, and I was like, how could they be like that? Mind you, 6 months prior, that was me, right?
Interesting.
And then I remember I had a sub. I was going back up to Newmarket from visiting my parents, and I had a sub in my bag. And I saw this gentleman sleeping, and I woke him up, and I gave him a sub, and then I went and bought him a water and gave it to him. And he's like, God bless you. I love you. Thank you so much. And I remember walking away, and I just started bawling my eyes out. And it was just, I don't know, I guess it was a lot. I think they were gratitude tears that I wasn't there anymore. And I know now I was so resentful towards them because I was looking at my past self, and I don't know, maybe at that time I was ashamed of that person, of who I was back then, right? Now I have a different look. Like I try not to give them money if I can, because if they are users, not all homeless people are users, right? If they are and they went and used and died that night, I would feel so responsible for that, right? That would kill me. Would I know? Probably not. But if I do see them, I'll try to give them food if I can, something to eat, right? Or whatever I have on me if I can, right?
But to your point, like a simple conversation goes such a long way. A smile.
Oh, yeah.
Eye contact even. Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't notice them, and I see it today, right? They try to ignore them or whatever, and they're people.
I'll be with people who knew I was homeless, and they're very, I don't want to say rude, but they disregard them right away. Yeah. And I don't. If they need a cigarette, I'll give them a couple, or if I can, right? But I acknowledge them, and because usually if I don't have something to give, they're very beautiful. They're beautiful. They're people. They have hearts, right? And regardless, they're still grateful that I even acknowledge them, I feel.
Yeah. Okay, Heather. I always like to end the podcast with this, and so I'll do it again because I think, I don't know. I've come to realize that words are just words, right? But the last guest, Caitlin, I had in here, she's like, if you need to hear words right now, then that's going to help you, right? But at the end of the day, it might not do anything. But I think sometimes I needed to hear words sometimes, right? Just to even just shift my perspective a little bit, because that's what recovery does today. But if you could say something to someone struggling right now, what would you say?
They're not alone. That there's people out here that know exactly how they're feeling and what they're going through, and there is help. There's help. Anthony, you're here helping people, right? There's ways to reach out and get help. It's scary, but if I can do it, anyone can do it, right? If you can do it, anyone can do it. So, yeah.
Our good friend Dave always used to say that.
Really?
He always used to say that to me. He's like, he would always be like, if I could do it, you could do it.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah, right? And I was like, oh, man, I love that guy. But well said, Heather. Thanks so much for coming down. I appreciate you.
Having me.
Yeah. And I had a lot of fun today. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Please help us grow the channel and like, share, and subscribe for more content. The discussions and stories shared on this podcast are for informational and motivational purposes only. This content is not a substitute for professional medical advice, addiction treatment, or therapy. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please consult a licensed physician, addiction specialist, or mental health professional. You are no longer alone.